You good? All right, so let's call this meeting of the Board of Adjustment to order. Would you call the roll, please, ma'am?
Chairman
I'm
Timaeus,
here.
Board Member Beaver,
Here.
Board Member Hilliard, Board Member Rowe,
Here.
Board Member Sorrell,
Here.
Alternate Board Member Chris Jones.
Present.
Thank you.
And Ms. Muni's not with us today either. All right. Let's take a look at the minutes from the last meeting and lay that open for commentary at this time or a motion, if anyone has a motion.
I motion to approve the minutes as written.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign? Thank you. All right. So what we're going to do then is everybody who wants to speak for, against, or otherwise make some comment on the one item that is on the agenda for hearing today, PZ 2023-48, about 1310 Galway Drive. Please stand, raise your right hand. Let's swear in everybody at one time. Okay.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right.
Thank you.
Let's pick up first other business and then do the public hearing on the one item that's here for hearing. Because it makes much more sense to me that we would talk about the standard by which we're going to make a decision before we make that decision. And there's been a notification of a change in statute that was effective September 2021, I believe, by memo that came with the meeting package today. And I think I can short circuit this quite a bit because I don't know how you guys did, but when I read the memo, I couldn't figure it out from the memo. So what I did was I went back to the code and the statute and pulled it back up. And it's simply this. If you'll look at the first page of this item that's up for business, okay? The first page. And every time we get one of these, you see this paragraph. The applicant shall have the burden of proof to demonstrate that all three conditions necessary for approval have been met. See that? Everybody, we've done that for years.
Yes.
Okay. There was an amendment to section 211.009 of the local government code, subsection 3 of 21.009 is a version of those three criteria. And from the code, it reads this. The board can make a decision. Number 3, authorize in specific cases a variance from the terms of a zoning ordinance if, 1, I'm putting the numbers in, the variance is not contrary to the public interest. That's the same thing that we've got today, okay? And 2, okay, I'm putting my own number in here because this doesn't have the numbers in the section. Due to special conditions, a literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship. That's our criteria B, but the criteria B that we have also has some commentary in it that pull from cases about what is unnecessary hardship.
Right.
Okay. That's not written in the code, but it's in the ordinance,
Right.
and that's the ordinance standard that we're dealing with.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And conjunctive, all three conditions have to be met. 3, so that the spirit of the ordinance is observed and substantial justice is done. Okay? All right. Now, the amendment said, when you're looking at A3, which is what I just read to you,
Yes, sir.
the commissioner board may consider, permissive, we don't have to, the following grounds to determine whether compliance with the ordinance as applied to a structure that is subject to the appeal would result in unnecessary hardship. So here's what we do. If you'll circle B, criteria B, all of this does is it amends B. And it says, when you're looking at B, you may consider these things and consider that that is going to, that the literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship, okay? You may think that there's an unnecessary hardship if, one, the financial cost of the compliance is greater than 50% of the appraised value of the structure as shown on the most recent appraisal roll certified to the assessor for the municipality under section 26.01 of the tax code. Or you may consider that there's an unnecessary hardship if compliance would result in a loss to the lot on which the structure is located of at least 25% of the area on which the development may physically occur. Or you may consider that there's an unnecessary hardship if compliance would result, compliance with the ordinance that we're talking about, the zoning ordinance. If compliance with the zoning ordinance would then make the structure not be in compliant with some other municipal ordinance or a building code or the requirement. Or if compliance with the ordinance, the zoning ordinance, would result in the unreasonable encroachment on an adjacent property or easement. Or you may consider that there's an unnecessary hardship if the municipality considers the structure to be a non-conforming structure. So we would have to hear from the municipality, hey, this is a non-conforming structure, so you can consider unnecessary hardship, out of the question, and then you gotta find both of the other criteria if you want the variance. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Is there anybody got a question? We got a lawyer here you can ask, who came down, I've never met before.
That's Jay.
Sorry. So, a new guy, I guess, in the city attorney's office.
Assistant?
Assistant.
Yeah.
Okay, and you are? Chase England. Okay, good enough. So, anybody got a question about any of that? Does anybody want to go over any of that or clarify any of that before we actually try to apply it to a real case? If not, okay.
Okay.
Then let's call this, let's call for consideration. File PZ 2023-48. It's a question of whether a front yard setback will be reduced by variance from 25 feet to 3 feet at a property located at 1310 Galway Drive. May we hear the staff report, please?
Good afternoon. Ms. Sutton Tigby is requesting a variance to for the property located at 1310 Galloway Drive. She would like to construct a carport in the required front yard. Carports are permitted in the required front yard if there is no existing garage or access to the rear yard. Ms. Sutton Tigby, however, has an existing garage. The property is owned residential single family and therefore requires a 25-foot building setback from the front property line. The applicant requests the required setback be reduced from 25 feet to 3 feet. A stop work order was issued on January 25th, 2023, as construction had begun without the benefit of a permit. And as always, the applicant shall have the burden of proof to demonstrate all the 3 conditions necessary for approval have been met.
Okay.
I have a couple of slides I can show you.
Please do.
This is where the property is located. It's outlined in red. It's 1310 Galloway Drive. This is a site plan that was submitted for the new carport. This is pretty much the entire structure and the driveways and all that. But it is kind of hard to see, so I tried to blow it up. It does make it blurrier, but I also outlined where the carport will be located, so you can kind of distinguish which portion of the the drawing is the new carport. This is a photo of the property as it is now, from the street. And this is from the side, so you can see just how far out it will extend into the front yard. Notices were mailed to property owners. We sent out 18 notices. We did receive one in opposition.
Is there a comment with respect to the opposition? What was the comment?
It just states that if you could guarantee our property values would not go down, I would not mind. That's the only notice that we received. That's the only response that we received.
Okay.
Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
I guess with that, I guess like comment from the nay, is it even in our powers to make that guarantee?
No, not at
No,
all.
sir.
That's what I thought.
Absolutely not.
That's what
The
I
only
thought.
thing that we can do is take the request as it's presented to us.
Correct.
We can say yes or no, and that's it.
Correct.
So that's where we are. And you'll see that, you've seen that a couple of times
Yes,
where we've
sir.
said, you know, if you ask a little differently, you probably would get this. And we've tabled things and had people amend
Right.
occasionally. But as things sit today, we can approve, we can disapprove, we can table. That's pretty much where we are. Anything else? All right, huh?
What's the reason for the
What-
carport?
she's gonna testify next.
Okay.
She bears the burden of proof. So who else, now that we've heard from the staff, the next person who wants to speak to this item is welcome to step up. If you would, please identify yourself, tell what your relationship is to the property, and then tell us whatever you want to.
First of all, I would like to thank the council for being here today. And what I would want to say is that my property.
I'm sorry, you need to tell us who you are.
Oh, okay.
And what your relationship is to the property, and then tell us what.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
My name is Helen Sutton Tegby. I'm a lifelong resident of Beaumont, Texas, born and raised here. I'm a retired educator with BISD, an assistant principal from Vinson Middle School, Martin Luther King Middle School, Ozan Middle School, and I recently went back on Chapter 45 to assist our students who were affected by the COVID. So I'm at Roy Guest right now working with students from kinder all the way to 5th grade and helping them to catch up.
Okay.
So I'm an educator.
Okay. So talk to us about this carport and tell us, you've heard us discuss what the criteria are for granting a variance. Tell us how your situation, in your opinion, meets that criteria.
Okay. Well, first of all, the carport is what I desire to have because the land that I have there and the shape of the property, I just felt that the carport was needed, that it would not be contrary to the interests of my neighbors or the public. It is not encroached on the street, the carport. We're asking for 3 feet for the carport. As you saw, could you go back to the picture where you can see the street there? It's not in the street. It's not encroaching in the street. I'm asking for a boundary relax of the variance to have the carport.
Okay.
The land is useless without it. I have pictures of other carports in the neighborhood and surrounding neighborhood that looks like mine. As a matter of fact, my contractor is here. I saw him building one for Mr. David, and Mr. David said he had to go through a lot with the city to get his built. And I have pictures here that I would like the council to look at
Sure.
at other carports.
We're glad to.
Okay, can I?
Yeah, just hand them, and
Okay, let me-
there may be some questions about them as people look at them, and they can ask.
Okay, and those are other carports, and I've taken pictures of in the area, surrounding area, and they look like mine. They look like mine. Mr. David's carport is on the area. It's the newest carport, and it looks like this one. The builder here did his, and I saw it, and I was like, let me see if I can hire them to do mine. As I stated before, in granting the variance, it will not be contrary to the public interest. The lateral enforcement of the audience will result in unnecessary hardship because of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, shape of the physical condition or hardship conditions unique to the specific piece of property. I stated that the granting of the variance, the spirit of the audience will be observed and substantial justice will be done. By granting the variance, the spirit of the chapter will be observed, the substantial justice will be done. Granting this area variance will allow feasible use of a small portion of the land from being useless. This flexibility will keep the spirit of the chapter of my neighborhood. It will be observed and substantial justice will be done. We're asking, and I'm asking the council for a boundary relax to build this carport.
I'm trying to, I can't tell from the drawing that was given us how big your lot is. Do you know how big the lot is?
0.26 something, I have it.
Looks like it's 143 feet deep.
Okay,
It's on the back side.
that's,
Council Thomas, you
that's
can look
eighty,
in
that
here,
eighty,
it may be
that
clearer.
is, Josh, that's all here.
80 feet wide.
Is that really 80
25
or is
by
that?
22. You may be able to see it clearer on this.
Okay,
This
Yeah,
is
here.
by
let's see.
the surveyor. And my architect did
Yeah,
the part here.
yeah, okay.
Now, when I came to the
See
city
that-
to get this done, I was very diligent in doing everything that they asked me to do. I conformed to everything that they asked me to do. The drawing that they gave me, I sent that drawing in which my contractor did draw
80
up,
feet, 80 feet is the width.
and that wasn't
Yeah,
acceptable.
143, yeah, it is.
So I had my architect to do
Okay, yeah,
to do another drawing so that that could be acceptable.
okay. Here you go. You might want to.
No.
Okay.
Here, I'll hold it.
No, okay, I'll roll it. Sure. All right. I was gonna look at the.
And this is a carport. It's not encroaching in the street. There's not, it's not, in the street. It's a, I hope you can see that it's an allowable encroachment. And I'm just asking for a boundary relaxation to finish this carport. It's not gonna change the spirit of the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, there's one right across from me, and it's dilapidated. It's, falling apart.
One of the questions I had too, that I wrote down to make sure I asked before we ever came here, is to find out who your contractor is. Who is your contractor?
United Metals,
United Metal?
yes, sir.
And is that a Beaumont company, United Metals, or is that where are they located?
Yes, sir.
You did say that the contractor is here.
Yes.
Yeah,
He would need to be sworn in if he wants
Well, that's okay. I don't care to hear him speak. My concern is that he started building without a permit, and he knows he should have had a permit before he started. That's one of the real concerns about your case. Now,
And I
just
beg
be
the,
upfront with you
I
about it.
do beg the respect of the council for that. No one's perfect, but we do want
I
to follow
understand.
conform to what we're supposed to conform to.
There was a mention that, well, it looks to me like you've got this garage. This is double garage?
Yes, sir.
Okay, double garage. And is the garage just full, or what's going on with the garage?
Well, we have stray puppies that we collect and try to find homes for, so I have kennels in the garage, my son and I.
Are there any other questions of witness?
I'm sorry, sir.
I'm just asking the folks on the panel if they have any other questions of the witness.
No, I don't have questions.
Joe?
No, sir.
Okay, is there anything else you want to tell us about that?
I have a big concern because when I was called that to pay the $250 on a Friday, the person on the other line told me if I didn't pay it today, Monday, they would change their mind. And I was very hurt by that.
Okay.
I was very, very hurt by that. That was not user-friendly to me. And I just couldn't understand why they would tell me, if you don't pay today, Monday I may change my mind. That was not
was it-
correct.
You know what the fee was for?
They told me for the processing, $250.
Was that to
They told me it
Apply
was
for the-
approved.
wait, was that to apply for the variance, or was that to apply for something else?
Sir, I really didn't understand. They told me
Okay.
to pay that day, and if I waited till Monday, they would change their
I'll
mind.
tell you, honestly, I'm glad you give us the feedback. We need to hear it.
Yes, sir.
There's not a whole lot we can do with it from our standpoint, because as I said, we've got kind of 3 options in our decision. That's pretty much all we do. But if you have a complaint about conduct of staff, I suggest you take it up the chain of command and see where it goes.
Yes, sir. I just felt that it just
That's
wasn't
okay.
user-friendly going through this process. It was not user-friendly at all. And I'm a lifelong resident of this town.
All right. Anything else you'd like to say?
No, sir. I'm
Okay.
finished.
All right. No more questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there anybody else who wants to speak for, against, or otherwise make any comment whatsoever on this request before we close the evidence portion of the hearing? And hearing none, we'll sit back and deliberate about it a little bit. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, well, basically, this is just like what we heard last month. Same. We're gonna hear these over and over and over. Same request.
I understand. But you know how I did last month, and I take the same position this month. Somebody creates their own hardship for reasons that are avoidable, I'm not inclined to vote for it. But, I'll be glad to be in the minority if you guys all vote.
Well, I think we gotta come to, cause this is just like last one, and I wasn't real in favor of last month, but as a whole, everybody on the board thought it was okay. I went ahead and voted with the board.
I understand. That's why I voted, that's why I was a dissenter. Okay, any other,
Yes, it was. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, the one we did last month, I think, that was, no,
That was 2 months ago. when
that's
you
2
were
months ago
dissenting.
when I dissented.
Mhm.
That was
Okay.
2 months.
2 months ago.
Yeah.
The one last month was not building out in the front of the house.
Yeah,
It was,
to
it
go
was
from
like that.
2 or
It was a
3
different
foot.
neighborhood.
It
It was a different shape of lot. The lot was an odd shape. It was not a nice square lot, deep lot like this. So you didn't have that homeowner had an argument that they needed the carport, and they didn't have a double garage. They had a garage, they said they couldn't get the car in because the garage door was too small. So, I mean, it's a different situation, similar, but this is significantly different in my mind. This to me is more like the one that we saw 2 months ago where there was an avoidable situation that wasn't avoided. So, anyway, anybody else got any other concerns before we reopen to yes or what?
I do, see that, from, especially from this picture, looking at the U-shaped driveway, it falls into this apron. It's, I mean, the setback is, looks like as if it's approved for the existing, just the carport. I will say one of my reprimands and both, on both parties is the permit, that's I guess like the position that like assumption is the, initially for the permit, and going through, this process
Mhm.
initially. Tedious it may be, but it's, it's still a process.
Right.
Can I ask a question of staff?
Yes, you can, we're gonna, reopen to evidence for a moment, and Mr. Beavers has a question.
My
Staff.
question is, what is actually sent out to all the surrounding property owners? The same information that we see?
Would you like to see the notice?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
Yes,
mean,
please.
do they get the sketch and all that
No,
information?
sir.
No,
No?
we'll let you speak.
It's just a letter.
May I know who sent that?
The city sends notices to everyone within a 200-foot radius of your property.
So they don't really see.
But may I know the person that sent that? Is that information that
I don't know who the person is.
Okay, open records.
I don't know, yeah, let me see.
It's a standard, all the surrounding property owners for any,
Yes, ma'am.
Any property-
It is public record through the city clerk's office.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Absolutely.
And all it says is that. That's the only thing that varies. Mhm. Okay.
that's, I just wasn't sure and I was curious.
Yes,
So maybe,
the purpose of the notice is to let them know, and then if they have questions that they don't understand, we get lots of calls,
You do
to
get-
ask for more information.
okay. It's pretty common that you don't get many responses.
We get more phone calls than we do actual responses, because a lot of the phone calls are saying, I don't understand what's going on. And we tell them, and they find this, so they don't
Okay.
call back, but they don't send us the response.
What she's saying is they send the written notices out to the surrounding
ma'am.
property owner.
Yes, sir.
We don't see a lot of responses come back with my question. Ms. Adina was saying they get a lot of phone calls asking what this about, and then they never hear any more from them. So I just wanted you to know what we were discussing. So,
Mhm. It's 3 feet from the right of way, yeah.
Well, if it's
Well,
not, they'll have to move it if
and-
this is granted.
And I didn't look at where the property line is, but it looks like a 5-foot, the carport would be a little over 5 feet off the property line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
There is a 5-foot easement along that property line, but it's not in the 5-foot easement according to the drawing.
right. And the setback for building would be what? The setback for the building itself is what?
Of the existing building,
No, the side yard setback
a side yard setback would be 5 feet
is 5 feet.
for a 1-story. This is a 2-story,
But it's 1.5,
so
it
it's
says.
7.5 feet.
7.5, okay.
And for the 2-story, the second story has to be 7.5 feet from the property line. The first floor still can be 5 feet from the property line, so.
Really?
Mhm.
All right,
And it is set back, so that's probably why.
So
okay.
it sounds like in this particular case, the contractor began to build, was stopped because they didn't have a permit. They realized they had to get a variance, so they requested a variance. The notices were sent out to the surrounding property owners, and now we're here today.
Correct.
So I guess what I'm thinking out in my mind is that all the surrounding property owners were made aware of this, and if they had a question, they could see what has been started. And so it's pretty clear what the plan is based off the frame that's there.
Probably.
Okay. Any other question or comment?
No, sir.
If not, I'll entertain a motion for, against, or otherwise with respect to this provision, this request that's on the table. Is there a motion?
I so move to approve.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Mr. Beavers seconds. Would you call the roll for a vote, ma'am?
Chairman Tamayo,
I'm against it.
Board Member Beaver,
For,
Board Member Rowe,
Against.
Board Member Sorrell,
For it.
Board Member Jones.
For it.
Thank you.
Sorry, ma'am. Your variance has failed by a vote of 3 to 2. You need 4 out of 5 to get the variance. And you'll have to talk to the folks in the compliance about where the things go from here. Is there any other business to come before us? And if not, I don't think there is. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.